Welcome to Convince Me. We are back. Super Bowl 59 at last. The hype is over. The game will be played. This is the Power Hour, the only NFL pregame show with all the stuff you care about, none of the fluff you don't. I am Chad Millman. Over the next 30 minutes, my Action Network buddies, Sean Koerner, Simon Hunter, Chris Raybon, they're going to convince me all the props, all the sides, all the bets we should be making today for Super Bowl 59. Plus, we have Evan Abrams with market reports and trends that make you sound smarter than your friends. We will also welcome in Dr. Nick Giffen, the host of Bet What Happens Live. He's going to take us through his best bets as well. At the bottom half of the hour, Gilles Gallant and Brian Matthews will preview the best touchdown props on the board today on the Touchdown Show. The line on the game, Chiefs -1. It has been moving in the Eagles' direction the past several days. I've been in New Orleans for most of the week. A lot of conversations, a lot of the themes about this game solidifying with people getting their opinions and getting dug in on their opinions. The total is 48.5. That has been trending down. We're going to get to all of it. The themes, the opinions, the angles, and more. Before we begin, a reminder, like this video, subscribe to the Action YouTube page. Plus, all the picks we discussed today tracked for free in the award-winning Action Network app. Download it today. Before we get to it, I got to remind everybody, the fastest way to tail Sean Koerner, Chris Raybon, all of our experts' picks. We'll be using the quick slip links that are provided in the YouTube chat and in the episode description as the guys give out their picks. I've used it for exactly that. It is so convenient. It's especially relevant today, giving out a lot of different bets, a lot of props. They are not that easy to find all the time. Use the quick slip links. It's going to take you right there. Sean Koerner, first prop up. What do you got?
What's up, Chad? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. First up, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes passing prop here. Patrick Mahomes under 253 and a half passing yards. We're also putting a quick slip link in the chat for Fanatics has us at 255 and a half as well. So love it at any number over 250 right now, which is what we're getting. But as you know, like every year I put out my Super Bowl player prop calculator, and the under on this is showing one of the biggest edges. I'm projecting as median closer to 231 and a half. And I was waiting until Sunday morning to give this out because I figured the public would be all over the over and push this up until kickoff. And that's what's happening because it is Patrick Mahomes, but he just doesn't pile up the passing yards the way he used to. He doesn't throw the ball downfield as often. This year, he only threw downfield 7% of the time, which was the fourth lowest rate in the league and the lowest of his career. And 27% of his pass attempts this year had been behind or at the line of scrimmage, which is the second highest rate in the league and the lowest rate or the highest rate of his career. Therefore, 60% of his yardage was after the catch, which is the second highest rate in the league. So not only will this be a tougher matchup against the Eagles that rank second in DVOA against the pass, have an excellent secondary, they've also allowed the second fewest yards after the catch this season, 4.9 yards. So that's the perfect way to sort of slow down this quick hitting, methodical passing attack. Plus, Mahomes tends to scramble a lot more when it comes to the playoffs. He's been scrambling 3 times higher than his season long rate. So anytime he pulls the ball down and run, that takes away from his passing yardage. Most of the time, it helps move the chains, keep the clock running. So these scrambles really help his passing props to go under. This also correlates, Chad, with the Chiefs winning the game. So if they get up early, they're going to be a little bit more run heavy, a little more conservative passing. So all signs lead me to, fading Mahomes' passing prop here with under 253 and a half.
Yeah, all week long, Mahomes, his passing attempts, his passing yardage, a lot of people finding some correlation here. Obviously, if you're leaning towards the Chiefs, we're going to get into the sides in a couple of segments. Simon, what's your prop?
Going with Devontae Smith over 50 and a half receiving yards. And this one's all about him being the forgotten man. This week, it feels like everyone's talking about Goddard, talking about AJ, and obviously talking about Saquon, where Devontae Smith has always showed up in these big moments. This is a guy who won the Heisman in college, national championship. In those games, showed up big time. And this is someone that doesn't shy away from the big spots. And you look at his career against this Chiefs team, he's played 3 games against this Chiefs defense and specs. In those games, he averages over 6 catches in those games, over 100 yards in those games, and he's just incredible, flat out against these type of defenses that aren't great against the slot. And this is the exact opportunity he needs to really shine, where the focus is going to be on AJ. And I know people think Dallas Goedert's going to have a big week here. The more I read about what the Eagles are going to do, they might be leaving him to pass block a lot more, Chad. There's some injuries right now to these Eagles offensive line. Goddard might not be running as many routes as people were expecting him to be running in this game. Like, a lot of stuff I've seen is him staying in to help out this offensive line. So that's even more reason to like Smith. He'll be in these routes that he'll be the first read for Hurts. And we've seen when he is the first read, he's an explosive player. Like, he's the type of guy who can make 1 or 2 guys miss. He can take it the distance. So I love this matchup for Devontae Smith, especially when we know the Chiefs, their one real weakness is the slot and tight end. So to me, this is a great matchup for him. And the fact that this is so low, Chad, is just because he has not had a lot of yards in the playoffs, right? If you go through the games, he's just not really shown up. I think it's all about the matchups they've had. And this is one of the few matchups they finally have that's really beneficial to him. So give me Devontae Smith over 50.5 receiving yards.
Well, look, I love it. I love your logic. I love the way you're thinking about Devontae Smith. He has been completely forgotten in these playoffs, but also, and a little bit more foreshadowing, it correlates to what we might expect from Patrick Mahomes, what we might expect from the Chiefs, how we expect this game plan to potentially play out if you like the Chiefs in this game. Chris Raybon, what's your play?
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs under 113 and a half rushing yards. So I think the Chiefs are really going to struggle to run the ball in this game. You got Philly, who's the number 2 run defense in the league in terms of DVOA. And ever since the Chiefs moved Joe Thuney from guard to tackle, number 1, his run blocking grade has just fallen off a cliff. He's went from a 77 to a 59. And Caliendo, who's in at guard, he's even worse. He's like a bottom 4 run blocker. So their run blocking really has taken a hit. So the fact that they're still going to start him at tackle tells you that they probably are going to prioritize the pass here. The Chiefs running backs are averaging just 3.5 yards per carry since Joe Thuney moved from guard to tackle, and just 0.59 yards before contact per carry, which is terrible. I mean, that's the league average is about double that. So I think the Chiefs are going to struggle to run the ball here. They've only had 101 or more in half of Mahomes' starts. So this number is significantly higher than their median on the season. And the Philadelphia defense allows only 104 rushing yards per game. They've given up 113 or more in only 5 of their 20 games this season. So I think this number, as are a lot of the offensive numbers on both sides, I think this is inflated here. I'm projecting about 100 yards flat rushing for the Chiefs. And if the more Mahomes runs, the less likely it is that the running backs are having success, because Mahomes tends to run more on, scrambles than he does on design runs, even though he got a couple last week. So if the Chiefs backs are struggling and getting, the 2-3 yards a carry, that's when you're going to see Mahomes run. So you got some inverse correlation here where I'm not as scared of, Mahomes just going crazy and then going over this, because there's the inverse correlation. So yeah, I'm projecting 100. I have a big delta here. So Kansas City rushing under 113 and a half.
Well, look, that doesn't frighten Chiefs bettors, because they utilize the quick passing game so frequently, because that offensive line has been in shambles, that oftentimes what they are throwing first down, second down, third down is no more than the equivalent of some kind of running play with the screen game that they have. So I like all these. I like them all. I'm going with Koerner, because the delta between what he said he had this projection at and where you can get it, 255, that is such a huge number. I know percentage-wise, Raybon, it's not that much different than the delta between your projection and the rushing yardage total for the Chiefs. So I like that one too. I like Simon's a lot too. I know Simon's going to come back to Devontae Smith in a little bit. So, and I like what he's talking about there. I might like that one a little more, but I'm going with Patrick Mahomes under 255 and a half total passing yards. All right, let's get to a side, folks. Like I said, this line, look, it had been at 1.5 for most of the past 2 weeks, and it's only in the middle of last week, Wednesday, Thursday, that we started to see some professional money coming in on the Eagles. I know there are a few sports books when I was in New Orleans where they started talking about getting some pretty big 6-figure bets on the Eagles at 1.5. It's now trending to -1. You can get the -1 on the Chiefs at a lot of books. Eagles +1. Still 1.5, some 1.5 out there, but a lot of -1s on the Chiefs. Total opened at 50.5, went down to 49, 49.5. Moved to 48.5. There was a stronger position on this earlier than there was on the side. Let's get rolling. Sean Koerner, what do you got?
Got the under here, 48.5. Like around 80% of the action's been on the over, but like you mentioned, the total started out around 50, and it's been bet down to 48.5. I know Simon was able to grab it at 49.5. Love it getting it there, but still like it at 48.5. I think the under is the sharp side here. As I mentioned with my Mahomes prop, just the Chiefs have a tougher matchup in general against a very good Eagles defense. I still expect the Chiefs to be able to move the ball, but it's going to be through, more short passing, which can keep the clock running, and have longer drives. And like I mentioned, the Eagles are very good at preventing yards after the catch, which is what the Chiefs, goal is on offense. So, obviously, the Eagles are going to be run heavy as well, which is going to keep the clock running, lower the overall play volume and pace of this game. And while Saquon Barkley has been unstoppable, I still think he's going to have a good game here. The Chiefs' run defense has been much better this season. They ranked 9th in DVOA. I'm sure Steve Spagnuolo is going to have a game plan to at least try to slow down Barkley. And more importantly, Ron Torbert's going to be the ref for this game. He's been the most profitable ref over the last 5 years. The under's gone 46-32 in his games since 2020. So, I think we'll still see plenty of points in this game, but I think the total's still 1 to 2 points a bit high here.
All right, dude. You know you always get me with the ref stats. The last show of the year, and you're bringing in some ref stats. Well done, Sean Koerner. Simon, what do you got?
Chad going with the Chiefs -1, and this has been tough, brother. I probably haven't slept more than 3-5 hours a night in about 8 days, and that's just as an Eagles fan. I've been just trying to find a reason to back this Eagles team. I was like, there has to be something here that's going to flip me, and I can never find it. When you really dive into this Chiefs team, it all comes back to Mahomes and Andy Reid. I mean, you talk all the time, Chad. We're all about long-term winners. And it was the same thing last week or 2 weeks now. Like against that Bills team, yes, that was a good matchup for them. But at the end of the day, it all came down to Mahomes and what he was going to do in the fourth quarter. I mean, you talked all week about that. And it feels like the same exact scenario here. It's a disrespectful line to Mahomes because his team is not as good as this Eagles team. And that is the only reason this number has moved as low as it has, right? That's the reason you're getting -1, -110 right now, which is pretty insane to think, where this number was up to +2 when it opened. Now it's all the way down to 1. This is the type of spot that Mahomes thrives in. And we've seen the trends back it up. I mean, you talk about that. Someday, they'll come the other way. We will fade Mahomes in this spot. But the day he has Spags and Andy Reid on his sideline with him, it's not the day. Today is not the day to fade Mahomes in this spot. And, the more you dive into it and you look at it, you can say, well, Eagles are better at every position. But when you talk about, Chad, the two positions that matter the most in football, a game of massive rosters, it always comes down to the quarterback and the head coach and those little things that they can do to change the games. And, looking at this number, I still can't believe the value on it. Like the fact you're getting -1, -110 right now to, have more than half the books across America, it's incredible. So it's a typical thing for Mahomes, right? Mahomes just gets doubted. This is the third straight Super Bowl that the number has been in between 1 and 3. So even the books, it's a rare opportunity where the books don't even know what to do with it, right? They're like, we'll put this number up and let the public decide. I mean, this might be the first Super Bowl in my memory I can remember that the books opened at 1.5. Some of them are still sitting at 1.5 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
That's how 50-50 this line's been. So it's just a rare opportunity to take Mahomes when he's being doubted once again, even though this is him going for his third straight Super Bowl. Just rare air. So, yeah, not overthinking it. Just like we did 2 weeks ago. This number should be 3. It's 1. You're getting good value on the Chiefs. Take the value on the Chiefs.
Raybon, what say you?
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs money line. I feel like when you're betting Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, there's a flow chart, right? Is he facing Tom Brady? No, then bet Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's really been that simple, except for I think one game against Joe Burrow, who wasn't in the playoffs either. But I think the key is actually going to be, because we know how great Mahomes is, and we know how great this Eagles roster is. I really think the key is going to be Saquon Barkley up against that Kansas City run defense. Because if you look at everything and why the line has kind of stayed static, what you're really trying to find in this case is what has the market maybe not priced in or priced in incorrectly, or is just hard to price in. And I think it's the Kansas City run defense, because this was their best run defense of the Mahomes era. But if you look at them, they've been trending down a little bit, especially in the last few games. However, you look at the last 2 Super Bowls. Super Bowl 57, the Eagles came in with the number 1 rush offense, even though they didn't have Saquon. They were still a beast with Miles Sanders and those guys. The Chiefs were middle of the pack in run defense. They held the Eagles to 32 carries for 115 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. And then last year, San Francisco, top 2 run offense, Christian McCaffrey. Kansas City, number 27 run defense. They were bad all season. They get to the Super Bowl. Niners get 31 carries, 110 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 80 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. So Steve Spagnuolo, he mixes up those fronts. He's going to make Jalen Hurts think and have to check out of things at the last second. He's going to really stress, I think, Jalen Hurts mentally in this game. And also, I think his run defensive schemes are just second to none. And if the only way to really prepare for it and beat it is to throw more, but I don't think they want to do that in this game. And that plays into the Chiefs' hands anyway in this spot. And Jalen Hurts has the longest time to throw in the league, regular and postseason combined. Per The Athletic, since 2013, Super Bowl winners average 0.3 seconds time to throw faster than the losers. Patrick Mahomes has been getting it out in about 2.65 seconds, pretty quick since they switched to the short passing game. About 22 spots ahead of Jalen Hurts, who's just dead last in terms of time to throw. And the 6th longest time to throws in the Super Bowl over the past decade, 0-6. So I think that's really going to be the key. Is just the Kansas City Chiefs don't need to match Barkley and that Eagle run game with talent. They can match it with scheme. But 18-4 with 1 push is Mahomes as a starter when favored by 2 or less or an underdog, including 7-0 straight up, 7-0 against the spread in the postseason, covering by 5.6 points per game. So give me the Chiefs.
Reach it, Chris Raybon. Look, this has been the theme for the 2 weeks since this matchup happened. It's been the Eagles have the better roster. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. Do you want to have the better overall talent? Do you want to have 2 of the best who have ever done it at the position/coach that matters the most? Plus, you've got Steve Spagnuolo, who is the winningest defensive coordinator in Super Bowls in NFL history. I was getting a little antsy. Like, you go down to these Super Bowls, and especially as you get closer to the game, and oftentimes over the course of the 2 weeks, the sentiment starts coming in on the underdog. People have so much time to review. They have so much time to investigate, analyze, whatever. You start finding ways that you think you're smarter than everybody else, the 300 million people watching this game, and you start to think, okay, I see the ways the Eagles can win. And it's a little bit easier with a team like the Eagles. And I was getting pretty nervous about a heavy Chiefs position that I have. And then on Thursday night, my kids sent me a TikTok that was just a compilation of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' final drive against the 49ers in overtime last year. And it is all the reasons why you bet on Patrick Mahomes. Here's the perfect play on 3rd and 6. Here's Mahomes rushing around the right side for a first down. Here's Mahomes hitting a player on a screen that gets them the 3 yards they need. Like all the things that drive a defense insane, that are impossible to stop, where he gets the exact right leverage in the exact right spot. I'm going with Raybon. I'm going with Kansas City on the money line. I'm on the Chiefs -1.5. I have been for almost 2 weeks. So I don't not like Simon's pick as well, but -115, if I can get him just to win, I'm happy to pay the premium. Give me the Chiefs on the money line, -115. I'm excited that we're all kind of on the same side. And normally I'd be nervous that I'm going to be the one to mush everybody, but I don't feel that way this week. I feel better about it, mainly because Simon and Raybon are on the same side, and they also correlate to what Koerner likes. So I like the way this has the potential to play out. Well, look, the Eagles are the public team, and we all love to fade the public. Let's take a look at exactly where the majority of the tickets are, according to the app. For those who are new, the number of tickets generally represents who the public likes. The money percentage is also available in the app. Indicate who the pros like. This has been an interesting swing for most of the week. A huge preponderance of the money has been on the Eagles and the bets, and it's been trending a little bit down in terms of the total percentage of bets. So some bets coming in on the Chiefs. Evan Abrams, director of research. We got a lot of Super Bowl parties today. People are going to need to impress their friends. Can you help them do that?
You're right about that. So the Eagles are getting the big bets right now. It's getting close to 50-50 for us in terms of the tickets. But let's just start with the line. So last year, San Francisco opened -2.5 against Kansas City and closed at -2.5. At the moment, we're seeing the exact same thing. According to Action Labs, Bet Labs, our data that we ingest, KC opened -1.5. Now, hours before kickoff, they're still -1.5. According to my research, this would be the first time since 1977 we've had back-to-back Super Bowls opening and closing at the exact same number. So we will see if Philly continues to get some of that love and it goes to one or pick. But right now, that's the case. The other
Evan, your research is all of our research. So
that's fair. It's Action Network's research.
No, you're the research. So according to the research, that's the answer.
Evan. Yeah. Okay. Well, according to also the Evan, the Eagles are favored on the first half line, which Stuckey tweeted out this morning, and I had to look it up. So last 20 years of data, we've seen just one Super Bowl where we've had different teams close as the favorite. First half line, full game line. 2014-15, Patriots closed -1 on the full game. Seahawks were actually favored on the halftime. Malcolm Butler ended that game. So that's the only time we've seen it. We'll see if that continues. The other note here, which I think is kind of interesting. So we've 57 years since we've seen a team three-peat, which is the Packers, who did it over the championship and Super Bowl line. So what's wired about it is the fact that we're also looking for a bettors three-peat today. So the Chiefs can be the first team to cover 3 straight Super Bowls in the game today. So the 70s Dolphins, the 90s Bills, and the 2010 Patriots went to 3 straight Super Bowls. None of them covered all 3. That's what Kansas City is looking to do today. And the other one that's interesting, so Kansas City won the last 2 Super Bowls, and at the end of the game, they get doused with purple Gatorade. So purple Gatorade also going for a three-peat today. That hasn't happened for Gatorade since Super Bowl 39 to 42 when Clear went 4 straight. So, just another line there. And then I was going to give you a trivia question, Chad. I don't think you're going to get this. And I talked to our producer, Gifford. I was just like, I think I'm just going to give the answer, but I'll give you an opportunity. All right. So Steve Spagnuolo has been an HC or DC for the Chiefs, Giants, Saints, and Rams since 2007. In that span, he's coached 24 playoff games. Spags has only allowed 100-yard rusher. Can you name that player? I will give you literally 2 seconds here, or I will just say it.
I don't know.
It is Marion Barber, who ran for 129 yards, 21-17 Giants, 2007 divisional round. So it's been a minute. We'll see what Saquon can do today, but on to you guys. Some more bets. Let's do it.
I can tell you what college Marion Barber went to.
Yeah. Well, name the other back that was there with him. So name the college.
He went to Minnesota. I don't know the other back.
Pretty sure it was Lawrence Maroney, but
look at that.
Think so.
Good for you. Look at us knowing so much.
Synergy.
You know how else, fans, you can know a lot of stuff? You can sign up for Action Pro. Now is the perfect time to upgrade to an Action Pro subscription because only Action Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from our experts like Super Bowl prop masters Sean Koerner and Chris Raybon, plus all the tools you need to turn a profit betting in 2025. Right now, for our flash sale, new subscribers can get Action Pro for just $59. This sale will end at Super Bowl kickoff. That's $59. Get it? Super Bowl 59. $59 for the entire year at actionnetwork.com/SB. actionnetwork.com/SB. That's $59 for the full year. You'll be covered for the Super Bowl, March Madness, baseball, NBA, even next college football and NFL season. And by the way, I looked it up this morning. The Super Bowl next year is on February 8th. So you're even covered through next year's Super Bowl. Don't wait. Visit actionnetwork.com/SB to get Action Pro for just $59. All right. Sean Koerner, every year, I look forward to your special teams props. We are going for round 2 of our props. What do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say, anybody that took the convince me prop, will Sean give out a punter prop at minus 5,000? You can go ahead and cash that right now.
That was big in the Discord. Big.
This is still my favorite punter prop of the game. It's Matt Ariza, the punt god, shortest punt to be over 40.5 yards. I was able to grab this at 39.5 on Propapalooza, of course, but I still love it at 40.5. 52 of his 61, so 85% of his punts this year went 41 yards or longer on the season. And the one thing I noticed was that week 15 against the Browns, he had to punt the ball a ridiculous 9 times. And that game, it was cold, windy, rainy in Cleveland. So he actually had 5 of those punts fail to clear 41 yards. So over half of his punts that failed to clear that were in that single game. So I think that that's kind of like misleading his overall season-long data. So, he only had a punt of less than 41 yards in 5 of 19 games, meaning he's cashed in on this prop 74% of the time this season. And I'm thinking, being indoors helps raise his floor. It lowers his ceiling considering there won't be any wind where he could be punting, with at his back or into. So I think it just helps raise his floor in this market, which is what it's all about. And I also noticed he hasn't kicked the ball out of bounds yet in his career. So he keeps the ball inbounds. That helps, his floor in the situation. So I have his median being closer to 41.5 with still, 60% chance he clears 40.5. But again, I think in theory it should be higher considering, over half his kicks were in that inclement weather game in Cleveland. So I think the chances of staying over this are much, much higher than 60%. So I love this punter prop.
Yeah, good luck, Simon and Raybon. But go ahead. Tell me what you got, Simon.
Well, Chad, this prop is everything I like. A plus number, kind of dumb, and it's really exciting when it does hit. And that's non-QB to a pass attempt. So anyone just doesn't have to complete it. Just a pass attempt here is plus 250. Some books are moving this down. Just before we came on, the book I use is down to plus 225. So this has definitely been bet this morning. I mean, you expect that. It is Sunday morning of the Super Bowl. This is just a prop that people don't really realize how often this happens now. It used to be kind of an anomaly. Amazing stat from Evan. Basically, there's been 12 non-QBs that have a pass attempt in the Super Bowl. So that's the history of the Super Bowl. 6 of those pass attempts have come since 2017. So you've seen this huge uptick in this type of play where it's basically these teams are so good, so well coached that they save these plays for moments they need it in the playoffs. And those moments don't happen because they win, right? They move on to the Super Bowl. And then you're at the point now where you've practiced this probably a handful of times throughout the season. you want to burn it. Like, you've been saving it for this exact moment. There is no tomorrow. You want to use this exact spot. So I thought it was really interesting. Travis Kelce was getting interviewed, and they were joking about how he used to play quarterback, and he kind of gave a hint, a little laugh, side-eye about we might have something cooked up here, our own little Philly special here in the Super Bowl. So that right away got me going, and clearly the other professionals think as well. This was plus 300 when it opened. It's been bet down at this point. So this is a number that I love, and I love that it's still above plus 200. Like, there's still really good value here. Because, again, you don't even need a completion. You can have Tom Brady drop it. All you need is the attempt. So I love this for both teams who actually attempt one, in my opinion.
I love that you've basically won this game already. For anyone who listens to the favorites, has listened to the show or watched the show, Simon had futures on the Eagles beating the Chiefs and the Chiefs beating the Eagles and the Eagles getting to the Super Bowl. Everything he's doing in this is gravy. Not sleeping, trying to get intel from watching Travis Kelce interviews. Brother, I love that about you. Raybon, what do you got?
It goes Saquon Barkley touchdown, no, at plus 155. So we're betting Saquon not to score a touchdown. He's actually failed to score in just about 47% of his games. So that would be closer to plus 110 odds. And we already talked about how good this Chiefs run defense has been. They're giving up the 7th lowest explosive run rate. And that makes it a little tougher for Barkley to score. Because remember, only 6 of his 18 rushing touchdowns have come from inside the 10 compared to 16 for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, if they get even to the 3 sometimes, they might push 2-3 times in a row, depending what down it is. So Barkley usually has to score from further out. And we're already getting just inflated odds because what are the books going to do? I mean, Saquon Barkley is the most popular touchdown bet. And so this is like the only game of the year where you get to bet on the opposite side of the touchdown market. And because Saquon's anytime touchdown odds are inflated, we can get the other side at a big discount. So Saquon Barkley not to score plus 155.
Well, look, I love this idea, and I love the idea of baiting Saquon in a couple different ways. Raybon, you talked about betting the under his rushing yards on the favorites that you and Koerner did with me and Simon. It's a little bit inflated there. I spoke to the head bookmaker at Caesars when I was in New Orleans this week, and he pointed out that they have more bets on anything related to Saquon over his rushing yards, anytime touchdowns, 2+ touchdowns, than they have on literally anything else. You can bet this game I'm not even exaggerating, 3,000 different ways at Caesars. And the most bets they have are all on Saquon Barkley. So I love this idea, fading him to score a touchdown. I'm going with Koerner and Matt Ariza because it's Koerner and it's a punter prop. And if I've done anything in 7 years at Action Network, it has gone with Koerner on a punter prop. So the tradition must continue. So that's my pick. Folks, do you want to make extra money daily from your sports betting? I'm always about finding ways to take sports betting to the next level. And that's exactly why I'm pumped to tell you about Edge Boost, the financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to a 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy, site, and casino transactions. That's free money back in your pocket for just doing what you're already doing. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit and will never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. Stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. That's edgeboost.bet. Okay. We're bringing in Dr. Nick. Normally, Dr. Nick is coming on to talk about our luck rankings, but these teams are exactly the same when it comes to luck. So, Nick, give us some other bets today.
All right, Chad. Well, if you remember last year, I gave out a first attempt prop, and that was Christian McCaffrey over on his rushing yards. Well,
And
on
we all
Propapo-
appreciate that, and we all cashed.
That's right. Well, I gave out Jalen Hurts on Propapalooza earlier this week at 2.5 over. That has moved, but I have one more first, and it is Xavier Worthy's first reception under 9.5 yards. You can get that at -130. Some books have 8.5 -110. I'm fine with that as well. There's been a couple inflection points in this season for Xavier Worthy, particularly, after Rashee Rice got injured. They didn't have yet DeAndre Hopkins, and Juju Smith-Schuster also was injured. So Worthy was filling in a ton of roles. But once they got DeAndre Hopkins and Juju returned from his injury, Xavier Worthy could kind of go into his current role. So that was week 11. And in that time frame, he has had his latest first target just a couple minutes into the second quarter. So in those 9 games, he has had 18 targets, through the first 2.5 minutes of the second quarter. His median air yards on those targets is 2. And on his receptions, the median air yards on those targets is 0. In other words, right at the line of scrimmage is where he's been catching these balls on 18 targets with 16 receptions. And his median reception length on those 8.5 yards. But there's another inflection point. Since week 14, his usage has gone up. He's played over 80% of the snaps in every single game, not counting, week 18 or whatever it is where he played 1 snap. And in that same early time frame window in the game, he's had 10 targets in those 6 games. His median air yards is 0. Median air yards on his reception, 0. And 6 of his 9 receptions in that time frame have come for less than, not 9.5, not 8.5, but less than 7.5 total yards. So, the Chiefs, when they're targeting him early in the game, especially with his current role, has been very short. And he has to get, past that 8.5, 9.5 number, probably 3 yards after the catch. Well, the Eagles allow the 4th lowest yards per reception to wide receivers, the lowest yards after catch to wide receivers, and the lowest yards after catch over expectation in the whole NFL. So give me Xavier Worthy under 9.5 on his first reception.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. You've been spot on with these Xavier Worthy props as of late. What's number 2?
Yeah, well, based off all the props I've been hearing, it feels like it's going to be a little bit of a defensive struggle, right? We got the under in the game. We've got under on Chiefs rushing yards, under on Chiefs passing yards. Whole lot of unders here. So let's go with some defensive props. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Jalen Watson to have an interception at 12-1, as well as the first interception at 21-1. For Jalen Watson, just go check out my props piece on Action Network or check out our first Propapalooza show. Talked all about that there, so I don't need to rehash the analysis. But on the Eagles side of the ball, give me linebacker Oren Burks 24-1 for an interception and 50-1 for the first interception. So I'm going to talk about Oren Burks here. If we look at Patrick Mahomes, when he throws an interception, and he's had 38 interceptions in his last 58 games, so he's about 50-50 to throw an interception typically. He throws a disproportionate rate of his interceptions short and over the middle, and that correlates well with what Sean's been saying. He's been throwing shorter more than ever this year. 17.5% of Mahomes' pass attempts the last 3 years have come short over the middle, but 31.5% of his interceptions have been short over the middle in that time frame. And of those interceptions that are short over the middle, they've been split evenly between the safeties and the middle linebackers. So you do a little back of the napkin math, 50% chance of an interception, about 1/6 of his interceptions go to middle linebackers. And then there's 2 middle linebackers. So let's say we split them evenly. That would be 23-1 fair value. But Oren Burks actually drops in coverage more than his fellow middle linebacker Zach Bond. Burks goes into coverage on 92.5% of pass plays versus 86% for Bond. And Bond's just 19-1. So give me the guy who's 25-1 or 24-1 for the first interception and 50-1 for the first interception. Look, Chad, there's probably not going to be multiple interceptions in this game. I think our projections are, a median of 1. So if there's an interception, It's probably going to be the first interception and the only interception. That's why I'm taking both of these, not only to have an interception, but make it the first interception as well.
That is the kind of math, that is the kind of logic that has been helping bettors all season long. Dr. Nick, you will be hosting Bet What Happens Live at halftime on the Discord. Folks, it's the last chance to bet the NFL all year. We'll be halftime watching or hanging out with Dr. Nick in the Discord. You can make some money watching Bet What Happens Live with Dr. Nick. All right. Speaking of last chance, coming up to the end of our show here, last chance to get some props and exotics from the fellas. The fastest way to tail Sean Koerner, Raybon, all of our experts' picks is using the quick slip links that are provided in the YouTube chat and in the episode descriptions as the guys give out their picks. Let's do it one more time. Super Bowl 59, Sean Koerner, take it away.
All right, Chad, I have a triple crown prop for you. And this is a market where you bet on the trifecta of who's going to lead the game in passing, receiving, and rushing yards. It's a market that was introduced in season, and I took a few stabs at it this year and hit on a couple in the 40-1 range. And I found one that's 40-1 that sticks out. So I'm going to go with this one. It's Jalen Hurts to lead the game in passing yards, Xavier Worthy to lead the game in receiving yards, and obviously Saquon Barkley to lead the game in rushing yards. You can get it at 40-1. And, first off, Mahomes is the favorite for more passing yards, and for good reason, since he's facing Jalen Hurts. But again, I like Mahomes to stay under. And this could be a game script where Hurts is forced to throw more. It could be a rare trailing game script for the Eagles. So I think the one twist here would be having Xavier Worthy lead the game in receiving yards. Wouldn't correlate as much with that, but I mean the game script where this would happen is pretty reasonable. It's one where the Chiefs get out to an early lead, potentially off a long Worthy catch or two. Hopefully not on the first catch for Nick's prop, but either way, the Chiefs get off to an early lead. Worthy has a great start to the game. Then the Chiefs get a little bit more run heavy, forcing the Eagles into a pass heavy game script. That helps Hurts. And there's almost no game script that really hurts Barkley enough to not lead the game in rushing. I mean, if Barkley ends up with a really bad line, like 60, 70 rushing yards, he probably still takes down this market. So I think that's how we get creative here. And then I was able to simulate this, and there's situations where A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, it's more even in the target distribution. And this, should be closer to 20-1. So I think this is way more likely to happen than the 40-1 odds indicate, even though there's some slight anti-correlation. I think this one's the best value on the board right now.
All right. I like that. And I would love it if I didn't like what Simon was about to say so much. Simon, take it away.
Yeah, going with Devontae Smith, most receiving yards at plus 600. And these long shots have been good to us in the Super Bowl, Chad. I don't know if you remember, Rams-Bengals game gave out Odell a 9-1 first touchdown. Cash it. Last year, MVS, who didn't score a touchdown the entire season, gave him out to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, 7-1. Cash it. So we're back again with a long shot on a wide receiver, Devontae Smith. It's just all about the matchup like we talked about, Chad. It's the perfect matchup for a guy that's being overlooked by the general public. So there's about 4 or 5 guys above him right now in this category. And it makes sense, right? Because the public is so out on him and they don't really believe in him in this exact spot. Where I go the other way, it's like, okay, we know that the Chiefs are bottom 5 against slot receivers and they struggle against the slot. Now you factor in as well that we all agree probably going to be a run-heavy game with the clock burning. Like, to me, this is the unique situation of both teams are going to run the ball, both teams are going to have the clock be running, and in those type of scenarios, if you have a receiver that can break 1 or 2 long ones, they could easily win this. And, we're looking at Devontae Smith. If he's the one getting one-on-one with no safety help, he could be the guy in this matchup. Like, the safety is going to shade towards A.J. Brown's side. There's no doubt about it. So you already know there's going to be a couple of unique opportunities that Devontae Smith, if he can beat the one guy who's covering him, he'll be able to break one, especially if early in this game the Eagles do get the run game going. Now it's even more of a reason to like this bet because that means the safeties will have to step down and try to stop Saquon this run game, which, again, leaves to him even more reasons to have the one-on-one matchups without the safety over top. So the more I look into this number, I can't believe it stayed this high. Like a couple of books have moved this down to plus 550. You could still get a couple plus 600s out there. So I love Devontae Smith to lead the game in receiving yards.
Yeah, I kind of want you to stop talking about it so we can get off the show and I can go bet this at plus 600 before the number moves. Raybon, what's your play?
All right. Well, a little hedge here on Nick's interception long shots, but I actually like there not to be an interception in this game at 2-1. If you look, both of these quarterbacks, it's kind of been the same story. Mahomes, 7 an interception in each of his first 7 games, just 1 pick in his last 11, none in his past 8 games. And over his last 4, since they really started going to that quick passing game, 130 attempts, no picks, and just 2 turnover-worthy throws over that span. And in that span, last 4 games, you know who he played? 4 teams that rank in the top 5 in interceptions: Houston, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. So that Mahomes has been doing his thing. And then Jalen Hurts, he threw picks in each of his first 3 games, just 1 in his last 15, none in his last 9. Since week 11, he's had turnover-worthy throws in only 2 of his 9 starts across nearly 200 attempts. And in that last Super Bowl, Hurts actually attempted nearly 40 passes. There were 65 total attempts, no picks in that one. So you look at these 2 quarterbacks combined, 2 games with interceptions over their last 26 starts. So I think you're getting some interesting value here. It's going to be a sweat every time they drop back, but I think this number is actually undervalued. So give me no interception at 2-1.
Yeah, that's a nail biter. That's every single play. You're just like, oh God, oh God, oh God. Listen, I'm going with Simon and Devontae Smith plus 600. I love this idea. It correlates to bring it full circle, correlates to so many of the other bets that we've talked about today that are really in line with us being on the side of the under, being on the side of the Chiefs to win, being on the side of the Chiefs to cover at -1. So give me Devontae Smith plus 600 to lead the game in receiving yards. Folks, this has been our last Convince Me of the NFL season. Thanks for sticking with us all season long. Thanks for the fantastic crew that puts the show together. Wishing everybody good luck in Super Bowl 59. Stick around for the touchdown show.
Thank you, Chad, and the whole Convince Me crew, and welcome to the touchdown show for Super Bowl Sunday. I'm Gilles Gallant with the Action Network, joined as always with Brian Matthews, aka the BMAT. BMAT, 22 weeks, 25 shows later, we have finally made it. It's the final game, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl 59. And with it being the Super Bowl, there is a ton of touchdown props available to choose from. Now, normally, BMAT and I, when we do this show, we like to do anytime touchdown props, maybe dabble in the 2 touchdown prop market. This time, we're going to look at some different angles here. Of course, 2 touchdown props, but we're going to be looking at first touchdown, first half touchdown, some novelty touchdown props as well. And of course, we're going to bring the 180 challenge back. We're going to do a touchdown same game parlay to close the show. A little preview. It's around 22-1 for the edition of the 180 challenge. And I want to remind everybody as well, every touchdown bet that we give out today, you can find in the YouTube description or actually in the chat. There's a quick slip link that will take you directly to the sportsbook if you want to tail our touchdown bets for Super Bowl 59. But B-Matt, let's start off with our bread and butter. Let's look right to the anytime touchdown market for Super Bowl 59. And right at the top, you've got Saquon Barkley at -190 and Jalen Hurts followed by him at -115. Then you've got Travis Kelce at +135, Kareem Hunt at +150, Xavier Worthy at around +160. Then you start to see the Eagles receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown yet to catch a touchdown around +290 with the Chiefs. And rounding out that top 10 is Dallas Goedert and Isaiah Pacheco. B-Matt, before we get started on the anytime touchdown odds, I was going to ask you just about the matchup because right now the total is actually dropping. It was around 49.5. It's dropping to about 48.5. Just want to know, like, are you cool with this rematch? Like, do you care who wins this game?
This is actually one of those rare rare games where I don't have a dog in the race, so I'm just hoping for a good football game. And whenever that happens, I find that's the best spot to be in. So hopefully we do get a good football game, and I don't know, we'll see if Mahomes can somehow keep it going.
Well, I'm a little conflicted because obviously, as a Cowboys fan, I never want to see the Eagles succeed in any way, shape, or form. But at
Yeah.
the same time, if they were to win the Super Bowl to stop a three-peat, give them all the credit in the world. But also at the same time, I'm more of I like football when there's parity. A three-time winner, I'm not really sure if I love that either. But at the same time, again, you can't deny greatness. And if the Chiefs able to pull off a three-peat, that would be something historical to behold. But I like an anytime touchdown on the Eagles side. This was a guy that I had bet pretty much the night of the AFC Championship, right after the game ended between the
Yeah.
Chiefs and Bills. Sportsbooks immediately put the touchdown odds up, and that was Dallas Goedert with the Eagles, the tight end. I bet him at plus 350. That's available right now at Bet365. And B-Matt, part of the reason why I keep going back to Goddard here is that consistent playoff volume dating back to the 2022 playoffs where they played against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He's had at least 4 catches and now in 8 straight playoff games with a touchdown in 3 of them. And when these teams played 2 years ago, Goddard had 6 catches, 7 targets, but most importantly, 2 in the red zone.
Yeah.
And you're facing a Chiefs defense that, while they did play a lot of man coverage during the regular season at a top 5 rate, I think they will still play some zone as well, but they leave a lot of middle of the field open, and they're bottom 5 in targets, catches, and yards to tight ends during the regular season. So I think that just bodes well for Goddard to be able to have a big game. And also, if they are employing man coverage, it's not like Goddard's some slob against man. Like 26% target share, 3.43 yards per route run. Like for a tight end, those are elite numbers against man defense. So I had around expected odds around plus 285. So I think anything over a 3 is fair value for me for Dallas Goedert. So Dallas Goedert is my favorite anytime touchdown bet to make in Super Bowl 59. B-Matt, what do you think of Goddard here? And are you going to be betting on Goddard for an anytime touchdown in this game?
Yeah, look, you know I'm going to be joining you on Dallas Goedert, and I'm going to add so I'm just going to go a half unit going with Dallas Goedert, and then a half unit on Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown.
Okay. Nice.
So look, I think you broke it down. I mean, way better than I probably could have. But look, let's just be honest. There were 2 occasions 2 weeks ago in the last game where Dallas Goedert was targeted either in the end zone or about to go in the end zone. On both of those plays, there was a defensive pass interference. So look, I just think it's one of those where I love the number 2. I agree with you there. And he has just been getting the ball a ton. Not only that, good matchup, Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. That's where, that's kind of how you attack the Chiefs. So I think it sets up well. And then Xavier Worthy. Now, if you looked at this and said, like, might not be the best matchup ever based on the corners, I agree. But here's the reason that you can't overlook his importance. I mean, Xavier Worthy is getting most of the premium looks inside, when it comes to the red zone. And they do such a good job of scheming him up, whether it's rushing, whether it's, receiving touchdowns. So I just think, especially when the running backs are Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, it does behoove you to get him a little bit involved in the rushing game, and because he's so dynamic. So I'm going to go Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown as well at plus 165.
Yeah, so Goddard, we're going to collab on that one. I like that you went with Worthy here for an anytime touchdown because I've mentioned this on the show with him. It's kind of Rashee Rice 2.0 with the way that he's being used in this offense. If you look back just with even last season or going into the playoffs, Xavier Worthy is getting volume that is, veteran worthy. And as a result, guys like DeAndre Hopkins or Juju maybe not getting as much play. Xavier Worthy, I mean, 6 touchdowns during the regular season, receiving 3 rushing touchdowns. The red zone looks are unreal. So Xavier Worthy, I think, is a very solid look for an anytime touchdown on the Chiefs side. And B-Matt, we're both going to be taking Dallas Goedert as well on the Eagles side. I ended up going with a couple of long shots. I did take Juju and DeAndre Hopkins. So with Worthy, I got a little creative. I ended up tailing our guy, Dr. Nick Giffen, who found a really nice parlay where he took his anytime touchdown and parlayed it with under 5.5 receptions. You can get that around plus 450 at a lot of sports books. So I was just trying to be a little creative to get a little extra odds there. But let's now move to the next section here because I like to look at the first touchdown market, but not necessarily first touchdown. I like to be able to look at first touchdown, first half touchdown, maybe first quarter touchdown, maybe even a first team touchdown. But the availability of markets with these, they offer a little bit more value, I think, than pigeonholing yourself just to the first touchdown of the game. And I think you're doubling down on a guy that you like for the anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I realize this. Yeah, when you look at this game, you go, all right, there are only so many guys. I was initially planning on going Dallas Goedert, but since you have Dallas, I figure we might as well add someone else. So yes, now I am fully committed. So I'm going to go
Committed,
Xavier
yeah.
Worthy, first half touchdown. Hey, look, the Action Network's own Sean Koerner, the man, the myth, the legend, has the largest edge of this game for 2+ touchdowns for Xavier Worthy. So if that's the case, and I do like the touchdown and his 2+ touchdowns, then I got to assume that maybe they're going to get him involved early. So we'll go first half touchdown, two first half touchdowns in his last 4 games. It's not only, he's also got 2 second half touchdowns. It's touchdown equity you like to see, but I just think, look, they got to get him the ball early. I just think it might be, tougher sledding for that run game. So we'll see here.
All right, so Xavier Worthy, you're going to take him for a first half touchdown around plus 350. And what BMAT is referring to is our Action Pro projections for anytime touchdowns right now, which are powered by a lot of Sean Koerner and Nick Giffen and Chris Raybon. Their projections for player props. And Xavier Worthy around 12-1 for 2 touchdowns is the largest 2-touchdown edge in the game, according to those projections. So if he's going to get 2 touchdowns, you got to think at least one of them is probably coming in the first half. So I like the logic there of what BMAT is looking at. I like another Chief to score a first half touchdown, but I'm actually looking at the run game for the Chiefs. I think Kareem Hunt for a first half touchdown is my favorite first half touchdown bet in this game. So let me just break it down. I'm going to put a half unit on that. It's around plus 375 at bet 365. So let's talk about Kareem Hunt and why I like him to score in the first half, because he has completely taken the role of the backfield bell cow completely away from Isaiah Pacheco. In the last 9 games since Isaiah Pacheco returned from injury, Hunt has outpaced Pacheco in carries in 7 of those games, and in red zone carries, 13 for Hunt, 6 for Pacheco. And Hunt was 10th in the NFL in carries inside the 5-yard line. The rest of the players on the team only combined for less than 10. You know what I mean? So, and now let's talk about why I like them from a first half standpoint. So Hunt, he's scored now in 4 straight games with a first half touchdown in 3 of them. But playing against, it's not like they're playing against scrub defenses. Like they were playing against the Houston Texans in 2 of those games, and they were top 3 against the run in defensive DVOA. So he's able to get those tough yards against tougher defensive lines, which the Eagles will pose against them. And then, of course, for the season, Hunt had 8 touchdowns, 6 of those in the first half. And kind of how I envision this game script is not to be identical from what we saw 2 years ago, but more of the Chiefs playoff game script, which is usually other teams tend to kind of get that little bit of a lead on them. And then in the second half, they roar back, kind of abandon the run. So I think if you're betting Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown around plus 150, I'm not as in love with compared to betting him on the first half touchdown at plus 375. So BMAT and I for a first half touchdown, I'm on Kareem Hunt. He is on Xavier Worthy, and those are our first touchdown prop markets that we're attacking for Super Bowl 59. And the stage now is set for Super Bowl 59, and that means now is the perfect time to upgrade to an Action Pro subscription, because only Action Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from our experts like Super Bowl prop master Sean Koerner, Chris Raybon, plus all the tools you'll need to turn a profit betting in 2025. And right now, our flash sale, new subscribers can get Action Pro for just $59, and this sale will end at kickoff of the Super Bowl. So that's $59 for the entire year of actionnetwork.com/SB. $59 for the full year. You'll be covered for the Super Bowl, March Madness, baseball, NBA, and next NFL season. So it's a pretty good deal on that front. So don't wait. Visit actionnetwork.com/SB to get Action Pro for just $59. All right, B-Matt, now let's move on to the 2-touchdown market. That's probably the market that we had arguably the most success during the regular season. I think back to Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Justin Fields. Like, we had a lot of good winners for 2-touchdown props. Now, this one, I'm just going to say it right off the hop, not the best value. But again, if you're asking me, what player has the highest probability of scoring 2 touchdowns in this game, I think the list starts and stops with Jalen Hurts. So I think I'm going to be taking him for 2 touchdowns. I logged that in on the Action app a few days ago at plus 650. Right now it's around plus 550. I am still seeing a 6 out there, but again, by Super Bowl kickoff, I think those odds may drop more. So I would get on that if you're going to tail this bet. But let's just talk about Hurts and why we like him for 2 touchdowns here. So they have shown the Eagles, when they get into short distance, they might be the most predictable team in the NFL and have the talent to do it, to be able to execute that specific plan, and that is the tush push. When they get inside short distance, it's not Saquon Barkley, it's Jalen Hurts who gets the ball. During the regular season, for example, Hurts had 18 carries inside the 5-yard line. That was top 5 in the NFL, and 11 of his 15 rushing touchdowns were scored inside that distance. I bring that up because Saquon Barkley, I think, is more of the explosive game breaker, because when you see his game log, he played more games than Jalen Hurts this year, but only 13 carries inside the 5-yard line and only 4 rushing touchdowns inside that same distance. So I think if Saquon is scoring, it's probably in the red zone, but outside the 10-yard line. And now this Chiefs run defense, I think they're going to sell out to stop Saquon Barkley at all costs. And they were pretty good at doing that too this year. I mean, they ranked 9th in defensive DVOA against the run, and they really limited explosive runs. Only 8 carries of 20 yards or more, 1 carry of 40 yards or more for the entire season. That is Saquon's bread and butter. I mean, we just saw it in the first play against the Commanders. We saw it against the Rams. We saw it against the Packers, where he's blowing away these defenses with these huge, long, explosive runs. I'm just not sure that we're going to see that from Saquon. He will get the volume. I'm just not sure we're going to see those game-breaking touchdowns. So I think his 2 touchdown prop is a little too steamed to be feeling good about betting it. Whereas Jalen Hurts, you're facing a Chiefs defense that plays a lot of man coverage that actually benefits Hurts more to scramble, especially in the red zone. And then from a historical odds perspective, just because we did see this matchup 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns. Just for reference, his odds were around plus 500 for 2 touchdowns and around 35 to 1 for 3 touchdowns. So I feel like Jalen Hurts is our guy here. I got him at plus 650. B-Matt, are we collabing on Jalen Hurts for 2 touchdowns?
Oh yeah, look, the very first bet that I made for this game was Jalen Hurts 1 touchdown and 2 touchdowns. It was plus money for 1 and plus 700 for 2. Shout out to my guy Kenny, Moonshot Eagles, an Eagles guy, and he also bet 1, 2, and 3 the last Super Bowl. So you knew that we were going to be betting it. So yeah, absolutely love Jalen Hurts here. Don't really feel like there's a ton to add. I think the last 2 times he's played them, he scored twice. Not that that was, like a couple weeks ago or anything, but it doesn't hurt to look at. And like you said, if they're getting inside, if we're getting at the 1, 2, 3 yard line, like, what's coming next. So, yeah.
Well, and I find any touchdown market for Hurts, whether it be his anytime, which is now around like minus 115, minus 120, or a first half touchdown or first touchdown, any of those other markets for touchdowns, they're not really showing enough value for me to want to bet it, because whereas I feel like if we just take out all of those parameters of time, of first half, first quarter, all that, and just take the full game, 2 touchdowns, I think, is the safest bet. If we're, safe, but safe
Yes,
as it
safe.
gets of a touchdown prop for Jalen Hurts. So I think that's the angle that we have to take here for Jalen. So that's who we're taking for 2 touchdowns. B Matt and I are going to collab on that. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns to score in Super Bowl 59. All right, now we're going to move to our exotic markets. So this ranges from that's what I love about the Super Bowl is they have all these different markets, like player X to score for player Y, no touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly right.
Score this
Yeah.
touchdown and this
Yeah.
guy wins the pole position at Daytona 500. Like, there's lots of fun ways to
Yeah.
attack this. But B-Matt, you have an angle that you're looking for, and you actually it's a little bit of a change, but you did look at this angle from a couple weeks ago. What are we doing for an exotic touchdown bet for Super Bowl 59?
Yeah, real quick, I don't know how I didn't mention the fact that, of course, that you're betting on Dallas Goedert in the Super Bowl. You had to bet on Dallas in the Super Bowl somehow. My pick here, though, I'm going to go either
catching
Jalen
shrapnel.
Hurts or Kareem Hunt first touchdown. And here's what I'm going to say before I do a little explanation. I am also going to probably put a quarter of a unit on A.J. Brown or Travis Kelce to score first. Just no equity on those guys, and it's a Super Bowl, so let's have some fun. But look, I obviously we like Jalen Hurts. We have him on the 2 touchdown front. I just think that logically going into this, if you were to ask me which 2 players do I feel like have the best chance, or 3 players, these are 2 of the 3 to score first touchdowns. The other one would be Saquon, and like we talked about, if it's not a longer touchdown, or if it's inside the 3-yard line, then it's going to Jalen Hurts. So also Kareem Hunt, man, he's going to try and make it 4 in a row in the playoffs, and he's the thumper, man. They give him the ball because he doesn't lose yards a lot, and that's a very important quality to have when you're discussing a goal line back. Like, just needs to fall forward a lot of times, right? Like, he just needs to kind of get through there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go, I actually am going to go 0.75 units on this, kind of odd, but it's plus 320. So Jalen Hurts or Kareem Hunt to score the first touchdown.
Well, see, I wasn't sure if you were going to run back the Jalen Hurts Saquon angle, because last time we did that was around plus 185. That was against the Packers.
Yeah.
And obviously that cashed in for you. Jalen Hurts ran for like a 40-yard touchdown to open the game. But when we looked at this again, that was around like plus 120 at some books. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't know. I think you need to cover the Kansas City Chiefs side if you're going to do both.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't feel as confident in the Packers offense in that matchup. I just thought it's just not a good matchup for them. So, as far as the Eagles are concerned, I just think the Chiefs are a slightly different beast. So I like having one from each team to kind of try to, hedge in a way.
Well, and you take the coin flip out of the equation too, like, and that's the main thing, to not have to deal with that. So, okay, so you were on Jalen Hurts or Kareem Hunt to score the first touchdown. That's at plus 320. I liked Xavier Worthy too, B-Matt, but I went with a little bit more of a creative way. I thought that this was a great way to be able to get some higher end value on a player that can actually achieve this milestone. So at Bet365, they have a special market called player to score a rushing and receiving touchdown. Now, the favorite is Saquon Barkley. He's around 12 to 1.
Yeah.
But I think the guy that we have to look at for this is actually on the cheap side, and that's Xavier Worthy, because he's actually done it before. And right now his odds are 40 to 1. So let's talk about Xavier Worthy, why I think he could score both a rushing and receiving touchdown against this Eagles defense, because, well, first off, I should just bring up he's the only Chief that outside of Kareem Hunt to actually have done that this year. He actually did that in his first game of his NFL career against the Baltimore Ravens. And as I brought up, like, the odds, like, so Saquon is 12 to 1, Kareem Hunt is 18 to 1. Right now, you brought it up earlier, Koerner has Worthy 2 touchdowns at 12 to 1 as one of the top edges for the 2 touchdown prop market. So he may score twice, but again, the upside of his rushing ability, I think it just lends itself where it shouldn't be 40 to 1. And when I was shopping this around, I was seeing it around 28 to 1 in another sports book, 30 to 1. So at 40 to 1, I think that's where we're starting to see a little bit more value on the upside of Xavier Worthy to score a rushing and receiving touchdown against this Eagles defense. So I'm going to be playing that at 40 to 1 for a quarter unit. B-Matt, before we talk about the same game parlay that we like for this, talk to me about Xavier Worthy and what attracted you to this market.
Yeah, so look, this is one where I've been playing his rushing yards for a while. And his receptions too. Like, second half of the season, it has been Xavier Worthy territory. Like, Rashee Rice, obviously that injury was terrible, but somebody had to step up, and he's done a really good job. And so I look at the fact that he does get a good amount of red zone rushing looks because they haven't had the most effective rushing attack. Now, Kareem Hunt's been great when they, inside that area, but Xavier Worthy gives them just a completely different element with his speed. So I thought, hey, look, if you're going to find a market like this, when you sent this to me, I went ahead and text you back. I said, hey, I'm going to put this, if you're cool with it, I'm going to put this in the moonshot. So that's how much I liked it. Yeah, posted it right away. I just think, especially for the odds, it's not that far-fetched to me. I think it's within reason. I think he will get some rushing looks, and he's obviously going to get receiving looks too.
Well, it's probably like the most fun bet that I'm making. Like, I don't have fun betting the coin toss. I don't really have fun betting on the over-under on the national anthem. Whereas if I could find a touchdown market or a touchdown prop that is mispriced in my opinion, that's where I end up having a lot of fun, especially when you have a huge upside around 40 to 1. And I'm going to put a quarter unit on it. So that's more my fun touchdown bet for Super Bowl 59. But I do have another fun Super Bowl touchdown bet, and it's actually a same game parlay. Let's talk about the 3 players that we're going to pick. Normally, when we do the 180 challenge, we try to get it around 18 to 1. And a lot of the time, we're not really using same game parlays. We usually try to spread the touchdowns amongst different games on an average Sunday. But this one, I think it has a pretty good shot to hit. It's really one player that I'm kind of like iffy on, and I'm hoping that you could carry me over it and explain to me why we should not feel so unsafe about it. But let's start off. This is the 180 challenge, same game parlay, touchdowns. We're going to start off with A.J. Brown. So A.J. Brown, you know that the Chiefs are going to run man coverage. You know that Trent McDuffie and him are probably going to be matched up. I'm not too worried. I feel like A.J. Brown, this is a matchup he could win. When they played 2 years ago, he scored a touchdown on Trent McDuffie, who was a rookie at the time. So right now, I think he's a great first leg. That's what I would do with A.J. Brown in this game, is try to include him more in parlays, because the other thing that I would bring up too, he's around plus 180, plus 185. That would be the highest touchdown odds that he has closed at in any game during the season. So good first leg to add with that. But now you and I are both so excited about Jalen for 2 touchdowns.
Might as well.
I don't want to exclude his 1 touchdown prop either. So why don't we add Jalen as the second leg with A.J. Brown? But this third leg, B-Matt, this is the one where I'm like, this is the one I think is going to hold us up. And I'm feeling good about it because he's the guy that I know can do it. It's just sometimes it's like, oh, why don't you just take advantage of this? And that's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Please, B-Matt, tell me, why is Patrick Mahomes going to score a touchdown here tonight?
2 words, playoff Patty. I mean, look, the guy it's playoff football. Quarterbacks run more in the playoffs. And he's been doing that lately. 2 touchdowns last week or last game. And this is a matchup where, like you said, look, I think that the Chiefs are going to try their best to not eliminate, but kind of minimize the explosive plays from Saquon, or pardon me. And now I'm looking at I just look on this matchup, Patrick Mahomes, when the game's on the line. I just think, look, who else do you want to go to? If you look last week, they had those play action looks where everybody sold out and he had basically a walk in. I think when you look at his running lately, he looks as healthy as he's looked in a long time. And I think they're chasing a three-peat. You can't leave anything on the field. So I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be out there doing his best and running around. I think he does score today.
I like the fact that we're not dealing with some sort of ailment like a hamstring pull, or that he's been healing over the last 2 weeks, or an ankle injury. You remember a couple years ago when he rolled his ankle against the Jags. Every game going forward, you weren't sure if he was going to have that scrambling ability, whereas he's looked very spry so far in the playoffs. I'm sure his rushing attempts will be a very popular play again this week. So let's recap. So A.J. Brown plus 180, Jalen Hurts minus 115, and then Patrick Mahomes at 4 to 1. You put those 3 together, that parlay comes out to around 23 to 1 at FanDuel right now. So that is going to be the touchdown same game parlay for Super Bowl 59. And B-Matt, that's it for us this year, man. Season 3 of the Touchdown Show in the books with the Action Network. Before we go, I want to thank B-Matt, Brian, I really want to thank you again for joining me every week to talk touchdowns, give out some touchdown bets to our crew and our community, and be able to enjoy the touchdown betting markets like I do. It's hard to find people who are kind of invested in this market as much as I am. I'll just say this, like outside of social media and Twitter, nobody ever really wants to talk to me about this kind of stuff. So it's nice to find a kindred spirit, as they say, for touchdown betting. And then, of course, our producer, Josh Golden, he's with us every week. Keeps us in line, keeps the show looking great. I want to thank him again for all of his hard work this year. And of course, Action Network for letting us do the Touchdown Show each and every week. But once this game is over, B-Matt, I'm going to take a massive break, maybe like a sleep for like 3 days. Then I'll probably get back into college hoops and the NBA. B-Matt, what do you got going on for the NFL offseason?
Yeah, man, I'd love to say that I'm taking a massive break. My wife and I are going to go take a 2-day vacation, and then I'm jumping right back into to NBA. I've been logging my picks on there. We've been having a good run there, so I'll have NBA plays, MLB plays as well. Now that that's on the horizon, get some more hit builders, total bases plays. So Yeah, excited, man. There's as football winds down, there's a whole lot of other opportunities going on. But yeah, looking
And you
forward
could
to getting a couple of days
make
off.
sure to follow BMAT too. Like in the app, his username is the BMAT, and he's going to be putting in NBA plays, baseball stuff like that you'll be able to find some pretty good value in. I've been tailing him for a little while. It was up until Jaylen Brown didn't come through. He had been on like a 7-pick win streak. So I mean, I'm really loving some of the picks that
That's
BMAT's been
right.
doing right now, especially in the Action app. Now, as we've done each Super Bowl over the last 3 years. What we do here is we close the show with a touchdown pick montage from the Action Network staff. And now I want to thank you, as always, for watching the Touchdown Show on the Action Network for Super Bowl 59. He's BMAT. I'm Gilles Gallant. Bonne chance.
Joe Delera here, and my favorite touchdown bet for the Super Bowl is Travis Kelce at plus 135. I've got to take Kelce to fill up the blank space in the end zone. Kelce has 19 touchdowns in 20 career playoff games with Patrick Mahomes, and he has at least one in 14 of those 20 games. Plus, he's got a touchdown in 11 of his last 15 games over the last 5 postseasons. If you want to take a long shot too, Travis has scored the first Chiefs touchdown in 5 of the last 9 Kansas City playoff games, and that's plus 425. Or if you want to take a really long shot, 14-1 for first Chiefs touchdown in a win.
What's going on? Rolling with Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown score, minus 110. He's hit this in about 2/3 of his games over the last 3 years. Oh, they're just too low.
All right, I got 2 for you. One, how about Patrick Mahomes plus 400? Because the Eagles are about to find out what the Bills find out and what so many teams find out. You want to call him a flopper? How about when he trucks you into the end zone? 15, baby! The other one, in all seriousness, is Noah Gray. That's plus 500. He's going to be able to loop underneath, and in the red zone, the Chiefs have actually had a lot of issues this year, and Gray's been a kind of a go-to target in those situations. I think with all the attention paid to Travis Kelce, Gray's going to be able to slip to the back of the left end zone and be able to find a touchdown. So I'll go Noah Gray plus 500, but also Patrick Mahomes plus 400 for a rushing touchdown. Why? Because Chiefs, that's why. And you're going to like it.
I like Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown. I know it's boring, but I think he's the most likely touchdown scorer in the game. He had at least one rushing touchdown, 12 of the 17 full games, and 10 of his last 12 games. I think he's going to score in the game probably 2/3, 3/4 of the time. So definitely Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns as well if you like it. I think he gets in the end zone.
My favorite anytime touchdown bet for the Super Bowl is on Nico Remigio to score a touchdown, because ever since Super Bowl 31, when Desmond Howard made my dreams come true, a kickoff return for a touchdown is something I've come to expect. Also, because Sean Koerner said it's a good bet, and I will listen to literally anything Sean Koerner has to say.
Evan Abrams on the Action Network. The Chiefs are going to target a tight end in the red zone. Everyone will think it's this guy, Travis Kelce, but the touchdown will go to Noah Gray.
Eagles defense to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl at plus 650 has caught my interest. If you read Brandon Anderson, you already know that there have been 22 defensive touchdowns in 58 Super Bowls thus far. So it happens far more often than it does in the regular season and in the playoffs. And the Eagles defensive backs have a nose for the end zone. When you look at the career work of Darius Slay, 3 pick sixes. CJ Gardner-Johnson took one to the house this year. And the Eagles' standout rookies in the secondary, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, had 5 career pick sixes in college. If they get their hands on the football, they're going for 6.